Hey, what's going on, everybody? NobodyFamous here again with another Ableton Beatdown video. As usual, if you have any questions about anything, hit me up at NobodyFamous on Twitter or leave a comment in the comment section of the video and I'll get back to you as soon as possible with any answers. Also, shout out to MachineMasters.com for providing such great resources to producers, from Ableton to the Maschine to the MPC to drum kit reviews and contests. They really got it on lock over there, so make sure y'all always follow them, check back with them often, watch their videos, and support them because they're really doing some great things. In this video, I'm going to break down basically how I use Ableton to record vocals in and do complete songs. Basically, for this song, all I used was a Focusrite interface. I really like Focusrite because they used to have their preamps back in the old M boxes, and they sound pretty warm and good for the price range. And then SM57 mic, so it's a good setup just for recording demos and vocals. And even if you like doing mixtapes, if you get your mixing game on point, like you can produce some high quality material just by using, you know, a $150 interface and a $75 mic, but $100 mic, excuse me. So basically, this is what my session looks like. You're going to always want to label everything, especially as you get going into creating songs, because the more sections you have and the more groups that you have, you just want to be organized with it so you can go to it very quickly. I'm going to play just a little section of the hook, and then we'll go from there.
Oh, you gotta leave, but you want to stay. Make up your mind. I can pack my bags and leave. I can stay and be a queen. Either way is fine with me. Stop wasting my time. You'll be hard to leave behind, but I swear I wouldn't cry. But I swear I wouldn't cry if I'm not yours.
Okay, and I'm going to be muting this music group here and there, and I'll tell you why here in a second. But basically, my first three groups, my music groups, I have in my actual music group labeled music, I have most of my elements, and I group them for one reason, so I can collapse them and it doesn't take up much real estate on my window. But also I have some effects that kick in. So I have a beat repeat, and I have a fade to gray that comes in on one particular part of the song. So I have it kick in right here in this little drop. So I wanted it to affect everything that was in the music section, which was basically these four synthesizers, and then everything else was pretty much cut out. So for my kick section, I have a loop that I started with. It was just a kick that hits on the 1 and 3 count, and then I have a drum kit which I have labeled or stacked up a few different drums, and then I have that. Basically, I just played the exact same thing over it, so it sounds like this, and it has some EQ on it. And it also is going to this return track, which has this vacuum compressor on it, which is an effect I really like, and then it has a multi-band compressor from Waves to C6 on it as well. So that's what my kick group sounds like, and I group those separately from everything else because I wanted to send it to this return track right here. And then I have an open hi-hat group. Basically, I wanted to throw some flange on top of all of those. So what I did is I grouped them and separated them out from the rest of the music, and I have flange on there. So it's 3 different loops, and they sound like this. And I also have it sending to my reverb a little bit, so you can kind of hear a reverb after that. And then I have my music group. Now the reason why there's this synthesizer that I've kind of set up in the ARP 2600, and it's always like playing, it will always be generating noise, generating sound. So that's why I'm muting it throughout the tutorial, but the music section sounds like this.
Possibility, jumping head first in, probably crash landing or perfect fall.
So that's what my music section sounds like, okay? So once I made the beat, most of this beat was made before we even wrote the song and laid down the vocals. So once the beat was made, then we wrote the song and started laying down the vocals. So what I like to do is I'll take a track. I'll create basically a bunch of empty audio tracks. And then I'll go to the top track. And whatever interface I'm using, I'll click on the in and out, and I'll select my interface. And then after I select my interface, I'll select this to record, and I'll turn the volume all the way down, basically, and then I'll record on this track. So what I do is, like, for instance, for this for this verse part right here, I'd start like two bars out or 4 bars out or whatever, and record, and then once that track is recorded, I'll just take it and drag it down, and I basically build my track like that. So instead of arming every track and setting my, turning the volume down and turning the volume up, because you basically get the monitoring and then you get what you're recording as well. So it sounds like there's an echo. I'll just do it on one track, and then I'll just move it down and start stacking things accordingly on whatever I'm recording. So that's the first thing I do. And then usually it just depends on the song. I'll start laying down, the verse, and then the second part of the verse, and then into the hook. So for the lead vocals,
you know that I'm not an option. Boy, I'm the only choice. I don't want to be a shadow. I won't sing your harmony.
What I have on there is an SSL compressor. That's my first effect on here. And then I have an EQ. I cut out some of that low end and just slightly dip some of that like mid range right there. I have a filter delay on here I really like to use. And I just have it set up. You can hear it. It goes, if you set it up with the left and the right channels, and you use different resolutions for the delay time, it's going to basically be like a ping pong delay left and right, and then you can adjust the frequency range of where the delay sits. So I just kind of like that little high end ping pong delay in there. And then I have the V comp from Waves, which I really like to use, and there's a preset on there that I start with, and then I tweak it out from there. So that's pretty much what I do on my lead vocals, and then I go from there. Then I have my backgrounds. So the backgrounds on these tracks.
Oh, you don't want to leave me on. I know you don't want to push me away. I know you're scared of love, but you love me. I know you gotta leave, but you want to stay.
We had the lead part for this, and then we stacked that twice, but I added, it's really wet with the reverb on there, so it kind of sounds like a cathedral. I think that's the actual reverb that I use on there. And then we have like these oohs. I'll let you hear those. Reverb. Compressor. And then the L1 maximizer to bring it up. And like I said, this is just a home recording. It's nothing in the major studio, so that's why you hear a lot of noise in there and things like that. But when the music's playing, you can't really tell. So then we have the hook. Same concept with the hook. I just keep it simple. Compressor, EQ, filter delay, the V compressor. And then I also have my backgrounds right here.
Make up your mind. I can pack my bags and leave. I can stay and be a queen. Either way is fine with me.
And on this one, I have one track all the way to the left, one track all the way to the right, then one basically. This Ableton only goes to 50, like Pro Tools and stuff goes to 100. So this would be basically 25 would be basically 50% to the left and 50% to the right. So that's how I have that background stacked up. And then I have another lead that's tucked away a little more. That's just basically saying the exact same thing.
Make up your mind. I could pack my bags and leave. I can stay and be a queen. Either way is fine with me. Stop wasting my time.
And then you add everything in there with that.
I can pack my bags and leave. I can stay and be a queen. Either way is fine with me.
So that's the basic set up for the song, and then I labeled everything. So you can come up here, control, and then you can click, and you're going to get an add a locator. So for instance, I can click on add a locator, and if I wanted to call this like pre-chorus, I can do that, and then I'll just know where every part of my song is, you know. And I usually, sometimes I add those, sometimes I don't. I just know by the way I color code things and the way the song's set up where everything is. But if you do like different arrangements outside of like your normal verse hook, or whatever, you might want to label things. And then also right here, like I said, I have this drop. So what I did was in my music, I cut out everything except for the synthesizer, and then I have a beat repeat on there, and then I have a fade to gray, and then I also added like a reverse. It sounds like this. And that has some fades in it, so if you click where mixtures and it has fades, you can see how I faded it. And then I have like this sub bass bang, and I'll show you the fades on that as well. So it kicks in and then it kind of tails off when the rest of the beat comes in. And over that, there's a part where she's saying down, down, down. So that's the reason why I use those effects, and it sounds like this.
Down, 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 down.
So when you put all of that together,
Me know now, 'cause I feel like I'm falling down, soaring high on possibility, jumping up.
and that's just something extra to add, you know, add different effects and different drops. So instead of just dropping the beat out, you know, add some sound effects in there, add some reverse cymbals, you know, do some different things with the vocals, add effects on it, whatever you want to do, to add, you know, some interesting elements to the song. So it's not just the same thing over and over. Especially with a beat like this, it's pretty straightforward. There's not a lot to it, so let's try to do that to kind of change things up. But then at the end, I actually changed the beat up a little bit. So I added some different hi-hats and kind of make it a little bit more dramatic for the end. So this is what the outro sounds like. Then my volume fades out. You see right here. And then on my master track, really simple. I actually didn't even use this multi-band compressor for this one. I used a Magma again. I have the Devil's Boost on there, which is like a loudness maximizer, and then I put the Devil's Touch over it. I just really like the way the Devil's Touch sound. It kind of glues everything together like the SSL compressor, the Waves compressor, or the glue compressor in the Ableton Live 9, and then the L1 Ultra Maximizer just to bring the levels up a little bit, make it a little hotter, a little louder. So that's pretty much the basics of how I record in Ableton and set up my songs. So again, like I said, I label everything. This has 52 tracks. Sometimes I have, you know, 75, 100 tracks sometimes, just depending on the complexity of the song. So you want to make sure that you can just like look and see how everything is organized and what track is which. And then I use groups a lot as well. So if it's like the background harmonies, for instance, these 4 tracks, I'll group these 4 tracks, and then I'll add my EQ, reverb, and compression, or whatever other effects on that group. Same thing with the music, like the open hi-hat group or the kicks group. You know, I'll send that entire group to a reverb or to a you know, to some kick processing, some low-end processing, whatever I'm working on. So that's pretty much how I use Ableton to record song demos in, and even complete songs like mixtapes and things like that. So if you have any questions, again, hit me up. Shouts out to MachineMasters.com, and check back next week for another video. Peace.